Neverness to Everness is just a couple of days away, so today I wanted to talk about a free-to-play team that you could start with and you could use and transition out of as you unlock more characters. It's a super baseline team, but I'm going to show you how it works and who you could transition in and out of the team as you unlock more characters. So the team itself, which I've dubbed as the Big Noob Team, has the main character as the main DPS. We've got Adler, Mint, and Skia all as support options. And a lot of these characters can be swapped out for other characters as you unlock them. I'm going to show you guys that towards the end of the video. But with this as a baseline, I'm going to teach you guys what you could do with this team and how you can make it work. The big boy here is Adler. Adler brings a ton to your team. He provides some damage as well as some sustainability with his shield, and he is super easy to use. You charge up karma attacks with his basic attack. His skill spends the karma stacks and deals more damage based on the amount of stacks you get, and it grants you a shield. And then his ultimate just does a bunch of damage. One of his passives, Temperance, applies a Scorch enhancement, which applies 1 of 3 random debuffs to an enemy. We're not going to get into all the little details, but it enhances Scorch. And then his second passive just gives him extra defense. So you lead the rotation with Adler, you get off a bunch of basic attacks, you use his skill, pop his ultimate if it's available, and then once he has his Esper Cycle gauge charged up, we're going to swap into Mint. Swapping into Mint allows you to trigger Hexed, which is going to deal extra damage as you deal damage with Mint. Mint kinda sucks, but she's super simple. She does basic attacks, she has a skill which deals damage, and then she has an ultimate which deals more damage. Her first passive, Transform Super Mint, enhances Blossom, which expands the Lobenbloom's damage area on hit. Her second passive increases her defense while Mint is on field, and it increases her resistance to interruptions. She's super simple. You pop your basic attacks, you use your skill when it's available, and you use your ult when it's available. After we go through our rotation with Mint, we charge up her Esper Cycle gauge, and then we swap to the main character, which allows us to trigger Blossom. This will generate a Lobbenstam and help you to deal more damage. After triggering Hexed with Adler and Mint, you'll be dealing a little extra burst of damage as you deal damage with Mint, and then we'll swap to the main character, Zero. So we've got that Lobbenstam on the map, we've got Zero on the field, now we're going to pump out damage with Zero. Zero is again a super simple character. Her basic attacks deal Cosmo damage, her skill does a burst of damage, and it also recharges your Esper gauge bunch, and her ultimate just deals a ton of damage. Her first passive, Appraiser, enhances Charge, which restores HP equal to 50% of Zero's base attack when the active character gains ultimate energy. Her second passive is Anomaly Perception, which increases her ultimate damage by 25%. So we go through our rotation with Zero, deal a bunch of damage, and then we swap to Skia. Swapping to Skia is going to allow us to trigger Remora, which in turn allows us to trigger Charge. Remora will cause the enemy to have slower movement and attack speed, and Charge will cause our character to gain more ultimate energy. Once we have Skia on the field, we can charge up his Esper gauge with his basic attacks. His skill causes him to enter the tailed state, and it deals a bunch of damage, super easy to use, and his ultimate deals damage. We're not getting into all the details on how it works, we're just going to take a look at an easy way of how to do it. His passive Suppression enhances Remora, and it inflicts an additional Remora on a target when Fang Thrust, which is one of his skills, locks onto them in the Remora state. His second passive is Apprehension. It increased his damage with Fang Thrust by 10% for 15 seconds after casting his ultimate, the Pack, and this includes collision damage while he's in the Shadow Hound Gnaw mode. So we swap to Skia, we get that going. We could swap back to Zero and charge up her ultimate a bunch, get off more burst damage, or if we need to, we could swap to Adler in order to get more sustain going, get more shield going, and then we repeat the process there, going Adler, Mint, Zero, Skia. Now we're about to go and take a look at how this works practically, and I'm going to show you guys how to utilize this team. But before we do that, we reach 1,000 subs, the razor's coming out, I'm shaving my head, we got a couple days to do that. We've been growing a ton and I appreciate you guys so much. We've also got the non-only giveaway going on, so if you want to enter that, go and check out that video. We're also doing a few Battle Pass giveaways as well as some of the monthly pass giveaways. So tune in on day one. Lots of fun. I'm excited to celebrate the game's release with you guys. Let's go check out how this team works. All right, so we're going to go and fight this big flower. Our team is leveled up and everything, but our equipment is not optimized. I just want to show you guys in this beta build how I would play this team before unlocking other characters and having the ability to swap them in and out. We're going to lead with our boy Adler. We're going to go in here. Our gauge is already charged up, but we would charge that up by attacking. The gauge above his health bar is his karma, which that karma charges up. Oops, I got hit. As that karma charges up, we expend it by using our skill, and we get a shield. And then we would swap to Mint. She's going to get hexed off. We're going to charge up her thing or her gauge whilst doing basic attacks using her skill. We continue to charge that up, dealing damage. Slow and steady, dodge the attacks, you know, play the game. We're going to use her skill. We're going to use her ultimate before we swap out, just getting in some more damage. And then we're going to swap to the main character. Once we bring the main character in, we get Blossom triggered. Now that Blossom is triggered, talking and dodging and stuff is hard. Now that Blossom is triggered, we're just going to do damage. Her gauge is already charged, but we want to use her or him to deal damage. So we'll go through our rotation and then we will swap to Skia. Our gauge is charged, swap to Skia. And then we got Remora. Now that Remora's going, charged is going, we could swap back to the main character to utilize the energy gain. Not Remora, charge. Charge is what gives us the ultimate energy gain. And we're able to stick to the MC, charge up our ultimate, break the flower, deal lots of damage. And then yeah, we could swap back to Adler now, charge him up, get our shield going, get his gauge going, and we'll continue to do that rotation. We'd go Adler into Mint, Mint into main character into Skia. That'll trigger charged. And then from there, we kind of make the decision for ourselves if we want to continue dealing damage, if we want to get the shield going, if we have ultimates to use, etc. But yeah, that kind of shows off the basic usages of this super free-to-play team. We're going to get out of here. But that's a basic free-to-play team. It's not going to be the strongest team in the game, but it'll get you through the early game and help you progress your account pretty easily early on, especially if you use it effectively. However, now we're going to talk about who we could swap in and out of the team and how we could further enhance this team to progress our account into a more endgame, build a stronger team that could help carry you later into the game. So looking at our team, we kind of want to figure out who can go and who could be upgrades to these characters. Adler is a pretty solid unit to be using here as one of the incantation characters. You could swap him out for Sakiri if you pull Sakiri. I wouldn't swap him out for Bai Cheng. He's more of a damage dealer. But Adler for Sakiri, I would make that swap. But Adler does bring a ton to the team. His shielding, his dot, it's all very good. Sakiri is also a good character in her own right with her like control and her buffs, and the CC is super useful in grouping instances. Next up, we would take a look at Mint. Mint, of course, can be swapped out for Jiwan. Jiwan brings a ton of utility to the team. She brings more damage than Mint is going to, and she's overall just a better unit. So if you pull Mint early on in the standard banner, or if you use your selector on her because you really like her, she could be swapped out. And then Mint can also be swapped out for Nonali. Nonali is more of an on-field DPS. If you swap in Nonali for Mint, it's going to mix things up quite a bit. Nonali is going to be the main character that you're going to want to carry over the main character. A lot of her damage is going to be dealt with her on field. The longer she's on field, the more damage you're going to get out of her, even though she's got the follow-up attack benefits and everything. But you could definitely swap Mint for Jiwan or Nonali. Then we've got the main character. The main character is interesting because the only real unit that I'd swap her out for right now is Chiz. However, playing with Chiz early and utilizing her once you unlock her through the Tycoon levels is super useful. Mint does have a passive where she'll generate you fawns, which is the city currency, as you use her. So if you use her throughout the day, every day, you're going to generate a ton of extra fawns, and that's pretty cool. She is a more difficult main DPS, but learn to use her. You like her design and you really want to use her, like you're going to learn to use her. She is a good swap for the main character. Plus we'll get her ascension levels and everything for free as we go, plus her weapon. So Chiz for the main character would be good progression here. However, just a little bit of future thought. If we're swapping Mint for Nonali and we pull Nonali, a good character that would replace Zero here or Chiz is going to be Hattori. She's going to be a bit more of a burst sub DPS as far as I can tell. And I think being able to swap to her to deal a large burst of damage would be pretty sweet. So you could go Adler, Nonali, Mint, and then personally for the third, for Skia, we'll talk about him real quick. Skia is not my favorite to play around. I would absolutely swap him for our other Lakshana user, Haether. Haether's a beast. Haether's really cool. Yeah, I would make this switch. And then from here, like if you've got this team, you're not really going to want to run Zero or Chiz, but you could run Edgar for his extra healing. But in the future, once we're done with the Nonali banner, I think you could absolutely run Adler, Nonali, Haether, and then swap Zero/Chiz/Edgar for Hattori. It'd be super sweet. But yeah, Edgar would work if you swap in Nonali. And then you're like building more of an endgame team that is going to be more capable of carrying in the more difficult content. That about wraps it up for this team building, free-to-play, progressive team guide that I got going on here. I hope it's helpful to you. I think that this game has a lot more going on to it than we've given it credit. And I think that the team building aspect is really going to help you to set yourself apart from like how I was when I first started playing. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated and a subscription would be awesome. Help me buzz my head because I really want to do that apparently. We're almost to 1,000 subs and that's just really exciting. I appreciate all the support that I've been given and it's just been a really good time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.